Hey there, how's it going? Seth here from retipster.com. In this video, we're going to take a look at Grasshopper Bank. So, what is Grasshopper Bank? Well, this is one of those online-only banking platforms out there that allows you to set up your bank account in a matter of minutes. Super easy, super simple to manage. It's got a lot of nice little conveniences and some perks to offer that most brick-and-mortar banks just don't offer. Things like no monthly fees, no overdraft fees. Everything can be done online. You never have to visit a branch because there are no branches. And one thing that differentiates Grasshopper Bank from a lot of these other online-only banking platforms is that a lot of these other ones aren't really banks. They're more like technology platforms with some other bank living behind them. You don't really see that bank, you just see the platform. But Grasshopper Bank, it is the bank. So when you deposit money into your bank account, that money is actually being held by Grasshopper Bank. They are a totally legit chartered banking operation. So in this video, I'm going to bring you through the application process so we can sign up for an account. I'll show you exactly what this looks like and how it works and how quickly you can get this done. And also I'm going to tell you some things about Grasshopper Bank that maybe you didn't know as we go through it, so you can kind of self-select and decide for yourself, is this the right one for me or should I keep looking elsewhere? And let me also just clarify, this video is not an endorsement or a recommendation for Grasshopper Bank. I'm not here to tell you that this is where you should go. This is simply for me to help inform you about what this bank has to offer. And if you want to walk through this sign-up application process with me, you're welcome to do that. We actually have an affiliate link to Grasshopper Bank beneath this video, or you can just go to retipster.com/Grasshopper Bank, and you'll see a page that looks something like this depending on when you're watching this video. Once you're on the landing page, all you have to do is go down here and click open an account. And one thing to know about Grasshopper Bank is that they actually have a few different kinds of checking accounts that you can sign up for. And the one that probably makes sense for most people, in my opinion, if you're just a normal, small or medium-sized business, is the Innovator checking account. And you can sign up for that going through this one over here where it says business banking. And you'll know you're in the right place if you see this thing where it says to begin your Innovator business checking account application. If it was me, that's what I would sign up for. And then once you got that done, you're just going to go ahead and click next. Then it's going to send us an email. We've got to confirm this. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so tell us about your business. So I've got an LLC, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And then employer identification number, just going to go ahead and put that in here. Then I'm going to put my business name in there, and DBA, I'm going to leave that blank because I don't have one for this business. So I'll go ahead and click continue to application. So the date this was established was quite a while ago. I'll put that date in here. And then for description of business, I'm going to go ahead and put real estate investing. I'll put my business phone number in here and then my business email address. All right, then physical address. So this is one of those things where they need to have like a real address, not like a PO box or a rented mailbox. So what I'm going to do here is put my home address under physical address, because that is a real address where I pay utility bills and everything. And then mailing address, that's where I actually want my mail to be sent to, which is my rented PO box. Now scrolling down here where it says business operations, help us understand how your business operates. So what they're asking for here is something called a NAICS code, NAICS code. This is basically a number that would normally go on your tax return, where you essentially classify what kind of business you're running. For example, the one that I use as a land investor is this one, 531390, which is kind of like a catch-all for other activities related to real estate. So that's what I'm going to put in here. If you're not sure what yours is, you could pretty easily go to something like ChatGPT or Perplexity or even Google and just do a search for what is the NAICS code for your type of business. Just explain what your business does and ask what kind of NAICS code is associated with that. Again, that acronym stands for North American Industry Classification System. Then we're going to scroll on here, and I'll put my home address here again, and then I'm going to verify my identity. So just put my date of birth here, and then my social security number. Now, one note on this, I know some of these online only banks, they make it easier than most banks do to register for a bank account if you are not a US citizen or if you're not in the US, because you don't have to visit a branch in person. And as long as you have an LLC with a employer identification number, you can apply for a bank account. However, Grasshopper Bank is not one of those. If you're not a US citizen or if you don't have a social security number, you can't play ball. So just be aware of that. If that's what you're looking for, Grasshopper Bank is probably not the one for you. Luckily, I am a US citizen, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. And I will say one thing, as you can see here, you can get a bank account without having to physically visit a branch in person. So if you want that, Grasshopper Bank can do that. But if you're trying to do this without a social security number, you're going to be out of luck. Okay, now, is this person the control prong? The control prong is a single individual with significant responsibility to control, manage, or direct a legal entity customer. Yes, that's correct for me because I'm the sole 100% owner. So that's pretty easy. Does this person own 25% or more of the business? Yes. Go ahead and put 100% in there. And then organization role, authorized signer, that's me. Title, I guess you could say I'm the manager. I'll put that in here. Go ahead and save person and move on to the next step. All right, so we'll go ahead and click continue and then set up your initial deposit. So one other thing to be aware of is that in order to open this bank account, you need to deposit at least $100. So if you're not planning to do at least that, then there's no point in applying yet. So just make sure that money is ready to go. So we'll go ahead and do that here. And Grasshopper Bank uses Plaid. They're going to send me a verification code to my phone number, and I will go ahead and use that to log in here. All right, now I have a Chase Bank account, so I'm going to go ahead and take the money from that one and deposit it into this one. I'm going to continue to log into this account here. Help to connect with Grasshopper Bank. Let's go ahead and authorize this. All right, all sounds good. Let's go ahead and connect this one account. And we're going to use this one. Save and close. And we're just going to put $100 in here to get started. All right, so please review all the information below. And I certify that I'm a U.S. citizen or resident alien. I certify the beneficial ownership. Yep, that's all right. The company is not involved in a marijuana-related business, internet gambling, cryptocurrency, firearms, or shell banks. So I guess another note there, if your business is one of those things, don't bother applying with a Grasshopper Bank because you're probably going to have a problem with that. So I'll go ahead and click agree and submit. We're submitting your application. Verifying identity, checking all that, blah, blah, blah. All right, so it says you're approved. We're working on opening your account, which should take 2 to 3 business days. We'll email you when it's ready. So before I push pause on this, I just thought I'd share a few more details about Grasshopper Bank in case this is something you want to sign up for. So first of all, like a lot of these online-only banking platforms, they make it really easy for you to share access to your bank accounts with your accountant. So your accountant can get in there and see everything. So that's one perk. It also has a nice QuickBooks integration, so it can work really smoothly with your accounting software. Grasshopper Bank does offer credit cards through their credit card partners. Ramp and Pay This are a couple of the partners you can get credit cards through. And one complaint I've heard about other online-only banks like this is that they can't get easy access to like a checkbook, something that simple if they just want to like write a check. They're limited to using the check issuing service from that banking platform, so they can get online and get it check issued and mailed from that banking platform's office, but they can't just write a check themselves. Grasshopper Bank is not like that. They don't give away free checkbooks. However, you can get checks through third-party check providers if that's something you need. Another thing you might want to be aware of is, say if you have a business that deals a lot with cash, like say if you run like a restaurant or a convenience store or something like that, where there's just a lot of cash you have to deal with. That could be a little bit of a drawback. Grasshopper Bank does have a partnership with all MoneyPass ATMs. There's over 40,000 of these locations nationwide in the US. However, if you wanted to just like go into a branch and get cash or deposit cash, like, most brick and mortar locations would let you do, you can't do that with Grasshopper Bank because there are no brick and mortar locations. However, they do have those ATMs, but if an ATM is a long ways away from you, or if you have like a huge amount of cash you want to deposit or take out, that could, be a little bit of an issue for you. So just be aware of that. If you're somebody who uses Zelle a lot to send or receive payments, you can't do that with Grasshopper Bank. And while Grasshopper Bank does not charge any monthly or overdraft fees just for having your checking account like most brick and mortar banks do, they do charge fees for sending wires, but those fees are a lot lower than most banks are going to charge. Another thing to be aware of is that while Grasshopper Bank does not put any limits on the number of transactions you can send and receive each day, there are some limits on the amounts of money you can send or receive each day or per transaction. And in terms of what those limits are, it kind of depends on you and your business and how much information you provide and how much you need to do every day. It is one of those things where if you do run into problems with those limits, you can reach out to them and request them to increase that limit. But again, this is a very common thing that I've seen with every other online only bank and banking platform out there, and Grasshopper Bank is no different in that regard. Luckily, Grasshopper Bank does offer both email, chat, and phone support, which is something that some of these other online-only banks don't do. You're limited to just email, and you got to wait like a day to hear back from the customer service. But luckily with Grasshopper Bank, you can just pick up the phone and call. They've got their phone number right on the website. So with all that stuff explained, I'm going to go ahead and push pause, and I'll pick this back up once I get an email saying that my bank account is approved, and I'll show you around the account so you can see how it works. Okay, so I got this email very soon after I submitted that application, like maybe not even an hour after I submitted it. It was pretty quick. This says, your new Innovator Business Checking account has been opened. Debit card is on the way. If you haven't already, click the link below to enroll in online banking. You get 24/7 access to your account. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now we're going to put in my social security number again. I'm probably going to blur this out. Seems like a good idea. Click next. Okay, now it's pulling up my information here. Your new account is open and ready to use. Cool. That was pretty quick. So we've got all my information here. Looks like I've got my account number, my routing number, all good to go. My initial deposit of $100. If you wanted to invite new signers, you could. So I guess if you wanted to invite team members to transact on behalf of your business without actually controlling everything, you could do that. So it looks like it says my debit card is on the way. Should have it in about 7 business days. That's cool. Now let's go ahead and continue to online banking. So we need some basic account information to verify your account. All right, let's put in my SSN again, my date of birth, and my EIN. And no, I'm not a robot, believe it or not. And then click next. All right, so choose your credentials for logging in. So I'm gonna pick a username, click next, and say, yep, I'll agree to that, whatever that says. So I'll go ahead and put my mobile number in here, and we'll verify this. And now we get to get into our account and see how this works and how it looks. So something to be aware of right off the bat is, you notice how it says -100? That's because the $100 deposit that I initiated when I applied for this account has not gotten to the account yet. So my account does exist. It is open. I can see the dashboard and all that. But until that $100 is there, I'm going to have some limited functionality in terms of what I can actually do here. So I'm going to show you around in what I can do before that $100 is here. And then once it does arrive, I'm going to pick this back up and show you what else I can do. So, tools. So Grasshopper does have this integration with something called Autobooks, which is like an invoicing tool. I've never used it before, but apparently some businesses use this all the time. So if you're one of those people, just know you can integrate really easily with that. If we go up here to accounts, and there's only one account, the one that we just set up, the Innovator Business Checking account. So this basically just shows our transaction history, it looks like. And if there's any holds, there's nothing really going on yet because I just set this thing up. We can go over here to view statements if we want to. So again, if I did have some kind of account history, we would be able to see all that pretty easily right here. Again, not much to show at this point. Ordered checks. So let's say if I did want to get a checkbook, how would I do that? Looks like it integrates with Harland here. So you could get nice, sharp-looking checks. Again, this is something that a lot of these other online banking platforms just don't bother with at all. Like you can't really get a checkbook. You're on your own. Or you have to use their check generation service where you get on your account and put in all the information and tell them to mail a check somewhere. It's kind of annoying. It's not very direct at all. It takes like 7 to 10 business days to get there. So if you've got a business where you just need to be able to issue checks and print them off right from your computer or write them all by hand, you can totally do that with Grasshopper Bank. So that's a nice perk if you care about that kind of thing. Let's go over here to support. I know support is an issue of concern with some of these things. Grasshopper makes it pretty darn easy. They give you an email address. They give you a phone number you can call. They give you a message center. So pretty much any way you would ever want to get a hold of somebody at your bank, you can do that and they make it pretty easy. I've not called this number yet or emailed the support, so I don't know exactly how helpful or quick they will be, but looks like they're at least trying to make it easier. So let's look at some of this stuff here. So Innovator Savings. So a lot of times when you open up a business checking account, it kind of goes hand in hand with a savings account, but it looks like that's not necessarily how this works. You would have to like open up this savings account separately and do it that way. So let's see what Trends is all about. I have a feeling this is probably going to give you some kind of analytics on your banking situation, like your net worth, your budgets, your spending. So that could be pretty helpful if you just want like a bird's eye view of what's going on with your finances. My bank doesn't do that currently. So that's kind of a cool tool. It'd be even more interesting if I could actually see something here. But again, I just opened this account, so there's not much to show at this point. We go over here to manage users. It looks like this is where I can add a new user if I want to and sort of delegate access and what I want them to have access to. If we go back up here to tools, and if we go to perks and partners, so it looks like Grasshopper partners with a number of other third-party companies, including QuickBooks, Slack, Visa, Constant Contact, Doula, Gusto. So for example, I use Gusto for my payroll. It's a great company. It looks like if you sign up through Grasshopper, you can get 2 months for free. So, just kind of nice little things. If you want to try these things out, you can get better pricing through Grasshopper than you otherwise would be able to if you just went directly to the companies. Go back over here to tools. Let's check out international wires. So if we want to send a wire, looks like this is the way we do it, I'm assuming. You can either request it. This is actually kind of a nice way to do it. If you want to make it really easy for that person who's sending you a wire, and it'll just send your information to them very clearly, so it's really hard for them to mess anything up. Then card management. Let's see, I'm assuming this is debit cards. Yep, so this is my debit card that's on the way. I don't have it yet. It's not quite activated, and it looks like it won't be activated until I receive it. And then I can put that information in here and activate it that way. So yeah, I mean, in terms of comparing this to some of the other online banking options out there, it's interesting. This is kind of like a hybrid between some of those online banks that make it extremely easy to get started, where like the second you're approved, you have your debit card numbers. Even before you receive the physical version of that card, you already have the numbers. And I know they're part of that MoneyPass ATM network with over 40,000 ATMs nationwide, which is awesome. I'm kind of surprised I don't see a link to that within this account, since that would kind of make my life easier in case I am somebody who's working with cash. So yeah, I mean, the online interface looks really clean and easy to use. It's kind of hard to get lost. It's, very well designed, that kind of thing. I've not used the mobile app, although it looks like it's got a pretty good rating at 4.5 stars with, it's got to be pretty decent if it's got that kind of rating on it. And it looks like Grasshopper Bank also offers fairly easy-ish access to getting a loan of some kind. I'm not sure if this is a line of credit or what type of loan this is, maybe a few different kinds of loans, but that's another thing that is usually absent from these types of online banking platforms because they're not really banks, so they can't give you direct access to loans, but not here. I can see pretty easy access to this. Okay, so a number of days have passed. It's later in the month now, and I'm coming back at you later because the $100 has now officially arrived in my account, which changes some things. As you can see here, it's now showing me this little graph of all this crazy activity going on. $100 whole hit my bank account. Boom! So anyway, it just shows you that kind of thing. This is also going to change some things up here when we go to tools. If you remember the first time when I clicked on trends, there was nothing there. There is something there now. If we take a look, we can see what it looks like. Boom, $100. Now we can also go over here to transfer. And if you click on this before you have any money in your account, you're not going to have hardly any options here. But now that we do have some money, we have the option to either wire funds to an individual or company outside of Grasshopper Bank. And we can send this with or without a template. And then you just put in the wire details, which account it's going to be coming from, where it's going to be going to. We would have to add a new wire recipient. So I know with my past experience with Chase Bank, it's same kind of thing, but it just feels easier and looks a lot cleaner and just less intimidating. Every time I do this through Chase, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm about to hit this nuclear button. I'm sending, $1,000 to somebody. And this just feels more user-friendly for what it's worth. A lot of these online banks just do a much better job of putting together this kind of user interface like this. So that's how you send wire transfers. We can also send a check if we use this bill pay feature. So again, this is where we would say which account it's coming from. We would link a new payee. We would put the amount and the date. And there's also this transfer button where we can send or receive funds from an external bank account. So this is similar to when I initially put this $100 in my account where I linked a different business bank account that I controlled. Same kind of thing. This is how you could just add more money if you wanted to. And those are the options for transferring money around. And you can just kind of get a better feel for what the dashboard looks like when you actually have some activity going on and what kind of information it shows you. And also if we go back up here to tools. So now that I do have my card, and by the way, that did get delivered. I got it right here. Now that that is in my possession, I can go up here to card management and play around with this if I want to. As you can see, it has not been activated yet, but I could do that really easily with the card I've got right here. So I hope this is helpful. If you're at all curious about what Grasshopper Bank has to offer, what it looks like once you have an account, how the user interface is laid out. Again, if you want to give Grasshopper Bank a try and support the RE Tipster community, just go to retipster.com/Grasshopper Bank, or I'll have a link to that beneath this video if you want to click through that link and help support us, or you can scan this QR code right on the screen. So thanks again for watching. Talk to you next time.